At the moment I'm doing a PhD on its numerical modelling of the West Antarctic ice streams, and it's specifically related to hydrology of the ice streams. So we want to understand what's happening at the bed of the ice streams. Ice stream C, in particular, also known as Cam ice stream, has stopped flowing about 150 years ago, and the dynamics of this are very important to the stability of the West Antarctic ice sheet, because if the West Antarctic ice sheet were suddenly to melt, there's about 6 meters of sea level rise there, and that's really important globally. And there's certain indications that that water is flowing at the bed of these ice streams, but we're not quite sure how it's flowing, whether or not it's pooling in particular regions. There's a huge bulge forming on this ice stream. What is causing this? And we can't go to the bed. We can't, take the ice off and have a look. So one of the tools that we have for this is to create a numerical model that kind of, it's almost like a caricature of the entire of the system. Using very simple sort of numerical relationships, we can find out what is the most likely scenario that is going on there. Could be very serious, but I mean, whether or not the time span that this could happen over is unknown. So that everyone's a bit quite concerned about the West Antarctic ice sheet, because it is below sea level. It's a marine ice sheet, which means that it's not like the other part of Antarctica, East Antarctica, which is above sea level. It's relatively stable. Because it's below sea level, all you need is some sort of initiation of instability, and the whole lot could just go in a very short time period. And we don't know. We can't say that's going to happen, but we don't know it's not going to either. And so the more work that we can do on this to try and understand these processes, the more important it is for policy and for all the people that are really concerned about these issues. So I think it's worth putting in the box of very important things to look at, because that sort of West Antarctica and Greenland are both showing enormous signs of change, and this change is in ice shelves sort of collapsing, in huge amounts of meltwater that have not been seen previously. So this change is happening, and we really need to look at this and work out what's going on and make it a priority. When I was an undergraduate and I was studying human geography and politics and Italian of all things, and we had a project that looked not at polar regions but at mountains, specifically at mountains, and there was nobody. This is in Western Australia, so there's nobody that studies anything glacial whatsoever, because it's a place of deserts. And suddenly we found out that these mountains were very important, and the glaciers on them very sensitive to things like climate change, natural and sort of anthropogenic type changes. And so I became quite interested in them, and then after that drove me back to New Zealand, and New Zealand has a very strong Antarctic program, and so I naturally kind of fell into that. I'm now at Scott Polar Research Institute in the United Kingdom, doing my PhD there. So it's just been, ever since then, a natural progression from one thing to the other, and an enhanced sort of passion as you go along. University of Canterbury in New Zealand offers a really amazing program for graduate students, and they can be graduate students from any discipline whatsoever. And they take about 20 students every year down to the ice. And as part of this, you do a summer school program which covers all different types of disciplines. And so I learned everything you could possibly learn about Antarctica, from penguins to policy. And as part of that, we went down for a couple of weeks to the ice, camped on an ice shelf, didn't wash, didn't shower, and it really drives your passion in this place that is so quiet, that spreads out forever in one direction. That is a hard place to live, that is not easy, that is very fragile, but at the same time very harsh environment. And I think once you experience that, and I think most people that have been to either an Arctic place or an Antarctic place feel this, within them, that they want to protect these regions, and that they are very important, because these polar processes, whether it's atmospheric or ocean processes or any of these processes, they cross national boundaries. They don't stay in the polar regions. And if you're from New York, or if you're from New Orleans, or if you're from London or anywhere in the world, these processes are going to affect you. they do already, and they will do more in the future. So I think that's really important.